The 1960s gave us some of the richest soul and R&B ever recorded, but not every track made it to your radio dial. Some were banned, buried, or blacklisted for being too raw, too real, or too revolutionary. Betty Everett sang about desire that made censors squirm. Nina Simone told the truth so boldly, entire stations went silent. These are 10 banned R&B songs of the 60s that you were never supposed to hear, but now you finally can. Number 10. You Can't Sit Down by the Dovells. The groove too wild for TV.
You gotta shake it like a crazy. Cause the band is saying.
Released in 1963 on Parkway Records, You Can't Sit Down was an infectious dance anthem. A horn-heavy shout of joy made for sock hops and teen dance shows. But some networks refused to air it. Why? The title itself was taken literally.
And the band is really booting. You hear the hippie with the backbeat.
Southern stations worried it encouraged wild gyrations. Certain schools banned the song from dances. It was all nonsense, of course. The real reason was the song's relentless energy and the fact that it came from a black vocal group who weren't pretending to be anything else. It was too soulful, too unfiltered, too fun. You can almost see a sweaty gym floor, sneakers squeaking, kids throwing inhibition out the window. Despite the bans, it shot to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and later became a favorite sample for early hip-hop DJs. This wasn't rebellion. This was joy. But sometimes, joy was the threat. Number 9, It's in His Kiss, the Shoop Shoop song by Betty Everett. Too suggestive for its own good.
Can I tell if you love me so? Is it in his eyes?
It sounded innocent on the surface, that playful tune from 1964, sweetened by Betty Everett's honeyed vocals. But not everyone was smiling. Several conservative stations refused to play it, especially in the Bible Belt. Why? Because behind the catchy hook was a question of sexual agency. She says the answer's in his kiss, not his job, not his talk, not his car. That was radical. In a decade where women were supposed to wait politely, Everett sang about intuition, chemistry, and desire. Under the lush horns and call and response backup, this was an anthem of feminine instinct. Despite the pushback, it became a hit and a future cover for Cher decades later. But for a time, this flirty little song was treated like a siren call to rebellion. Number 8. Mississippi Goddamn by Nina Simone, the protest song they tried to erase.
Alabama's got me so upset. Tennessee made.
In 1964, Nina Simone stood at her piano during a Carnegie Hall concert and dropped a musical grenade. Mississippi Goddamn wasn't coded. It wasn't polite. It named names like Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. And it condemned racism in a voice too sharp to ignore.
Lord have mercy on the land of mine, we all gonna.
Simone wrote it in response to the murder of Medgar Evers and the bombing of a Birmingham church that killed 4 black girls. Radio stations refused to play it. Some returned promotional copies shattered in pieces. Southern juke joints banned it outright. But in truth, it wasn't just the language, it was the anger, the clarity. Simone wasn't asking for justice. She was demanding it.
Lied to me all these years. You told me to wash and clean my.
You can hear her foot stomp on stage, the urgency in her voice, the fury wrapped in jazz chords. The song didn't chart, but it changed everything. It marked Simone's transition from entertainer to activist, and they were terrified. Number 7, Let's Do It Over by Joe Simon, a slow jam too steamy for the airwaves.
Darling, the many nights.
Joe Simon had a voice like velvet soaked in whiskey, soft, aching, undeniable. Released in 1965 on Soundstage 7 Records, Let's Do It Over was a pleading, sensual ballad about rekindling love. But the phrase "do it" set off alarm bells. Program directors assumed the worst, thinking it was a veiled ode to physical intimacy.
That I had happiness.
Some stations pulled it immediately, citing implied adult content. Simon denied it was sexual, saying it was about emotional reconciliation. But the damage was done. Behind its gentle strings and smooth groove, the track dripped with romantic tension. You can imagine a quiet living room, a dim lamp, a second chance. It never charted high.
I'm willing to try one more time, baby.
But it became a cult favorite, rediscovered by crate diggers and slow jam lovers. Sometimes it's not the words you say, it's how they feel. And this one felt too real. Number 6, Compared to What by Roberta Flack. The quiet rebellion hidden in jazz.
Hanging up the whole damn nation looks like.
Before it became a live hit for Les McCann and Eddie Harris. Compared to What first appeared in 1969 on Roberta Flack's debut album, First Take. At first listen, her version is soft, smoky, even elegant. But the lyrics? A ticking time bomb, with lines like, "The president, he's got his war, and trying to make it real compared to what?"
Sleep and not trying to duck.
The song skewered hypocrisy, Vietnam, and systemic injustice. Many stations simply avoided it, claiming it was too political. Flack wasn't yelling, she wasn't raging. That made it even more subversive. This was a protest whispered through a jazz club's cigarette haze. A slow stir, not a shout. The song's message would catch fire later through the funkier, brasher live version, but Roberta's take was the one they tried to pretend didn't exist. It didn't scream, it asked questions, and that scared them more. Number 5, I Don't Want Nobody to Give Me Nothing. Open Up the Door, I'll Get It Myself by James Brown. The funk that challenged the system.
Don't give me integration, give me true communication.
By 1969, James Brown wasn't just the godfather of soul. He was a full-blown movement. This track was raw funk with a message. Stop handing out scraps and let people earn with dignity. Released on King Records, the song was embraced by black communities and quietly blacklisted elsewhere.
Tell everybody, find it.
Some DJs claimed the title was combative. Others feared it would stoke racial tensions during a volatile political climate. But Brown wasn't backing down. With a rhythm section like a ticking bomb, he chanted self-reliance into the groove. You can feel the stomp of black power behind every beat. Suits traded for swagger, bows for boldness.
All right.
It charted, yes, but never got the airplay it deserved in certain regions, because independence, when shouted in funk, became a threat. And this was funk that demanded the keys to the kingdom. Number 4, I'm Gonna Run Away From You by Tammy Lynn. Bandied in the South, embraced in the clubs.
Run away, find another boy to play with. That's not easy.
Tammy Lynn's 1965 recording was a sleeper hit that didn't wake up until years later. At its core, it was a soul cry, a woman declaring her independence from a lover's lies. But in southern states, it ran into two walls: race and gender. Some stations refused to play it because Lynn, a black woman, sounded too forceful. Others claimed it encouraged rebellion against family values.
Oh, it's very nice, very nice. I've already done it twice.
The truth? It was a liberation anthem wrapped in a catchy beat. Lynn's vocals danced between pain and power, and in the UK, it became a beloved Northern soul track, decades after being stifled at home. Picture a dance floor full of sweat, heartbreak, and joy all at once. The song lived underground, then rose like a phoenix, proving no band lasts forever. It may have run from radio censors, but it ran straight into history. If these classics are bringing back memories or opening your ears to songs you never got to hear, give this video a thumbs up. It helps us shine a light on the voices they tried to silence. And don't go anywhere. Our final 3 tracks are the ones that cut deepest. Number 3, Woman of the Ghetto by Marlena Shaw. Truth wrapped in groove. This one didn't sneak past the gatekeepers, it broke the door down. Released in 1969 as part of Shaw's live performances and later sampled into infamy, Woman of the Ghetto was fierce, focused, and unapologetically black and female. She sang about school conditions, low wages, and racism with a rhythm so smooth you almost didn't feel the knife.
Woman of the ghetto.
Censors couldn't handle it. Some stations refused to air it. Others cut it from playlists without explanation. The song wasn't just political, it was personal. Marlena was the voice of every mother, every sister, every worker scraping by in a system rigged against her. You can hear the crowd gasp mid-performance as truth piled on truth. And when she says, "This is a song for all the women in the ghetto," it still sends chills. Banned, maybe, but never silenced. Number 2, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised by Gil Scott-Heron. Silenced before it ever aired. Technically released in 1970, the earliest recordings of Gil Scott-Heron's defining piece were written and performed in the late 60s, live, raw, and dangerous. And that's exactly how it felt. More spoken word than song, it called out consumerism, media complacency, and the myth of progress. The networks wanted no part of it. Early radio wouldn't touch it. Labels hesitated to press it. DJs were warned against spinning it on air. Why? Because it was too real. Scott-Heron's voice cut through the fog of feel-good messaging and exposed the rap beneath. There were no hooks, no harmonies, just truth. Imagine hearing that voice on a midnight college radio station, knowing you were catching something outlawed. The revolution wasn't broadcast, but it was felt, and it still echoes louder than ever. Number 1, Strange Fruit by Nina Simone, the song that refused to die. Though originally made famous by Billie Holiday in 1939, Nina Simone's searing rendition of Strange Fruit in the mid-60s brought the song back with a vengeance. She performed it live, mournfully, deliberately, and each word hit like a hammer. Southern trees bear strange fruit. It was a description of lynching so raw, so unapologetic, that most stations wouldn't dare air it. Simone knew the risks, but she also knew silence was complicity. Her version was darker, more haunting than Billie's, a requiem wrapped in rage. She didn't release it as a single, and for many years it was buried on live recordings and bootlegs. But those who heard it never forgot. This wasn't entertainment, it was testimony. And even today, it's the song that still gets banned, still gets whispered, because truth, when sung this boldly, never grows old. From protest poetry to forbidden love, these songs remind us that R&B was never just music, it was resistance. Thanks for taking this journey through the banned, the buried, and the brave. Subscribe to keep the groove alive and discover the songs they never wanted you to hear. And if you're ready to dive deeper, click the end screen to watch our next video. 10. Overlooked R&B fans only true fans remember. And let's go keep this rhythm rolling. See you there.